Welcome on in. My name is PJ. This is a Raid Shadow Legends video. In today's video, we're going to be going over the new collaboration and looking at the new champions in the game, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Let's jump right into it. We will start with Mikey and we will go from there. So Mikey is an attack-based champion. Let's take a look at his kit. He's attack-based spirit champion. So A1 attacks on enemy 2 times. If either hit was critical, places an increased attack on the champion for 2 turns. Okay, looks like you're gonna want to build him with critical full crit. See if that plays into any other part of the kit. So then we got a 2 attacks one enemy before attacking. Has a 75% chance of placing a decreased defense. Nice. So that's before hitting. And then has a 75% chance. Both of these book up to 100% chance of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn. Will ignore 25% of the target's res if this attack is critical. So more reason to build him critical with crit. And then applies a debuff spread effect, taking all debuffs from the target and placing them on all enemies. Will ignore 25% of each target's res if the initial attack is critical. So that's booked up to 100%. That books down to a 3 turn. So a 3 turn cooldown, decreased defense with a stun, and then you can also, it's AoE with what, and then depending on what other debuffs you have on them, you're taking those debuffs and spreading them as well. So this looks really strong. I like this move a lot. Again, you're going to want to build them with 100% crit, more reason to with the A2, and then we'll take a look at the A3. Attacks all enemies, has a 75, books to 100% chance of placing decreased attack, and leech for 2 turns. Will ignore 25% of each target's res if the attack is critical, then places a taunt buff on the humans for 2 turns. So that books down to a 4 turn. The leech and the decreased attack are 100% if you book them. Hold up guys, now is the perfect time to click on my link in the description and get a free Karato as well as 4 more insane free epics as you level up. Here's how to do it. Step 1, log out of player and play on PC and uninstall. Step 2, click the link in the description and register with a brand new email. Step 3, launch raid and complete the tutorial. Step 4, go to the inbox and claim your first champion. Don't miss out on your chance to get a free Karato after signing up, as well as Uugo, Rector Drath, Tagoar, and Mausoleum Mage as you progress through the game. So click on my link right now and let's crush this together. So it's pretty interesting. I'm not sure how much damage he's going to do. He looks kind of like a support champion, but you also want to build him with crit and maybe some attack. We'll take a look at the passive. So passive, party dude. So there's a 1 turn cooldown. Passive effect has a 15% chance to evade an enemy skill and all of its accompanying effects. If this champion is under taunt buff, then has a 30% chance to evade. So he's getting the taunt from the A3, which is pretty nice. Evading can be really annoying. Right now, Loki has evade, and people put him in like as a 1-person defense, and it'll just take multiple times to kill him just because he's just evading. So that can be very powerful. And then whenever Leonardo, Donnie, Michael, or Raph attacks, this champion joins in the attack. So that's nice if you have someone faster. You can get the increased attack on him. And then the active effect places a shield buff equal to 300% of this champion's attack on this champion for 1 turn when they receive a hit. So 300% of attack, that's another reason. So you definitely want to build him with a lot of attack. Want to build him crit. I don't know how much damage he's going to do, if you want to build him with crit damage or not. He's going to want accuracy, so you can land the stun and the decreased defense. You will have the ignore res, so you're not going to build him with as much accuracy, which is nice. And then he has the taunt, so you're going to want to make him a little tanky as well. Kind of interesting. I feel like you kind of need to build, or you need to really spread his stats out. So yeah, could be kind of weird to build. Very interested to see how hard he hits. I'm not on the test server, so I don't know anything about the multipliers or anything like that. But he's an interesting kit. I like the A2 a lot. That's probably like my favorite part. The decreased defense, stun, and then the debuff spread, taking everything. That could be very strong. And then the passive could be very frustrating as well to try to kill him if he just keeps evading and has the taunt evading. And then his passive increase accuracy in all battles by 70%. Cool. Want to see more on how he actually works in game. The kit is interesting. Like I said, I feel like it's going to be kind of, you might have to spread his stats around a lot, which can be tricky for early game players. If you're a late game account, it'll be easier for you to do that. Early game is tough to get like a lot of stats on a champion. All right, next up we got April O'Neil. Let's see what she's about. So A1 attacks on enemy, has a 50% chance, books to a 60-75% chance of placing a stun, freeze, sleep, provoke, fear, true fear, or petrification on the target for 1 turn. Then places perfect veil buff on the human for 2 turns. Lots of RNG in this one. I mean, these are all good effects, but very RNG. So depending on where you need her, you can't really rely on getting one specifically. Like let's say you're in Hydra, you need the provoke. Good luck getting the provoke when you need it, or if you need the freeze and you're doing like Fire Knight, for example, like it's gonna be very RNG to get her to do what you want her to do on the A1. So I wouldn't really like rely on that, but these are all solid effects. So cool A1. Lots of CC, but just you can't really rely on like, oh yeah, I really need the sleep right now, or the provoke, or the freeze. Like, yeah, that's going to be kind of tough. All right, let's take a look at the A2. Attacks one enemy, has a 75% books up to a 100% chance, and this is also a 3-turn cooldown. So books up a 100% chance of stealing all buffs from the target. Also has a 100% chance of stealing 100% of the target's turn meter. That's very strong. We know Armand's has the stealing turn meter. Granted, he's an AoE, so a little bit different, but stealing turn meter is very, very strong. Then has a 100% chance of placing a Nullify, which is a new debuff, and Seal debuff on the target for 2 turns. Passive effect on this as well. Has a 25% chance of activating this move, Explosive Scoop, skill on an enemy when they gain an extra turn or instant turn effect. If there are multiple champions on this team, then only one will affect. Okay. So that's pretty cool. You get a chance. So it's kind of like she seems more of like a go second kind of cut-in champion. As I look more, I saw some of her part of her other kit as well. So this has a couple of damage books into as well, and a cooldown. So we can like take a look at these Nullify and Seal, see what they do. Nullify, she has a lot of text in her kit, so we might be here for a second. She has lots of words. So Nullify, what does this do? Champions under the Nullify debuff cannot have their skills activated, participate in ally attacks. They can't be granted an extra turn or instant turn. So think about it. So you can't, if you have Podrag on the team, so you put this on their damage dealer, right? So the idea of this would be, the biggest issue with her is Stone Skin. Granted, she does steal the buffs, but it's a 50-50 to strip it. So that's going to be one of her big counters. But let's say she does steal the Stone Skin, or they don't have Stone Skin on their nuker for some reason. So you put the Nullify on their nuker, and let's say they have a Shuzen on the team, or let's say they have a Podrag or something that's Mikage. They wouldn't be able to ally attack. They can't get the instant turns. They can't get extra turns. Let's say you lock them out and they have a Yumiko to try to decrease their cooldowns, like to try to get their cooldowns back, or they have a Kaimar to try to get their skill cooldowns back. They can't have their skill cooldowns reset. They can't have their shield value increased, have their destroyed HP restored. So like Mariska can't restore HP, or anyone that restores, I can't say that word, restores destroyed HP won't work. Have their HP swapped. Have evade enemies, so evade won't work. Have their turn meter equalized, or have their HP balanced. So that's a lot of text, but pretty much it won't. If you have Nullify on them, you can't have any of these things. You can't do any of these things with the champion, which is pretty strong. And then for Seal, if you guys do not know what Seal is, we can scroll down here real quick and take a look at that. But pretty much makes it so your masteries and your gear don't work, kind of. So there's 2 versions. She has the normal version. The Seal debuff blocks effects from gear sets and masteries except stat boosts granted by artifacts and accessories. As an example, masteries, they only boost stats like Blade Disciple, Flawless Execution. So pretty much, let's say you have Savage on, or no, we'll say Lethal. Lethal would be a better example. So Lethal, you ignore defense, and then you also have a crit rate boost. That you would still get the crit rate boost from the set, but you wouldn't ignore the defense anymore. But you would, or for like a speed set, you would still get the speed because it's just numbers boost, but you don't get the effects of the sets anymore. Another pretty devastating debuff if you can land it. The only issue nowadays is Stone Skin. But yeah, pretty cool. The first time we've seen Nullify. I'm sure we'll see more champions in the future with this effect, or with this debuff, but it seems very strong if you can get it to land. The only issue is getting it to land, especially nowadays. Then the A3 places an increased accuracy buff on all allies. Also decreases the turn meter of enemies by 20%, then grants an extra turn. So that will help. Definitely the increased accuracy will help her land the A2. But again, the Stone Skin is still 50-50. If they have Lightning Cage, it's another RNG check to remove it. So it's going to be pretty tough. Then the passive, hopefully you guys are sitting down, we got lots of reading. So passive effect, whenever an enemy is pretty much like the Nullify debuff, very similar, but whenever an enemy has their skill affected, teamed up with an allies to attack, gains an extra turn or instant turn, has their skill cooldown decreased, gets their shield value increased, gets their destroyed HP restored, has their HP swapped by allies or themselves, evades an enemy effect or skills, has their turn meter equalized, or has their HP balanced from skills, decreases all enemy. Okay, so all of this, or has their HP balance from the skills. So if any of this happens, what I just said, decreases all enemies 2 meter by 10%, occurs once per skill. If there are multiple champions on this team, only will affect 1. So Pretty good cut in move to, especially with go first is so prevalent nowadays. Speed, fast. This should help a little bit with cutting in. And then we have the active effect. Whenever an enemy removes, transfer, or decreases the duration of any debuffs to 0, decreases the turn meter of all enemies by 25%. If there are multiple champions on the team, they only will activate once. So she's getting a lot of turn meter pushback between her passive, and then also her A3 is pushing turn meter back, and then her A2 is stealing turn meter. That's a lot of control. Nullify, seal. I like her kit. She has a speed aura in all or in arena by 28%. Not all battles, sorry. Speed aura in arena 28%. But yeah, I'm not sure how well she'll actually work in game. I mean, I guess that's the issue with a lot of champions nowadays. Is Stone Skin just runs rampant in arena. But if you can somehow remove it, strip it, there's other champions that can try to remove it, strip it if you have HP burns as well. So there's definitely ways to get rid of it. She can be very effective. Definitely a champion to look out for in the future if you like arena, live arena. I think she could be pretty cool, especially if you could find a consistent way of removing the stone skin. I think she could be pretty nasty. Let's take a quick look at reviews. 4.5, 4.3, yeah. I think she could be pretty interesting, especially if you get rid of the stone skin consistently. Alright, on to the next one. We got Mr. Raphael. Looking sick, very stocky. It's cool how each of the ninjas kind of has like their own different body types and different builds. So he is a attack-based force. She's a magic support champion. So Raphael, attack force champion. Let's see what he's got. So A1 attacks one enemy twice, places a block revive debuff if the target is killed. Each critical hit fills this champion's turn meter by 10%. You're getting buck damage. I like double hitter block revives, especially because of UDK. He's gonna UDK monkey is a very common combo, and if your block revive is a single target, UDK will eat it up. But if it's a double target, the first hit UDK will eat, but the second hit will go to the target you're wanting to kill. So could be nice into Wukong's. He is bad affinity. Wukong, I think, is spirit, so you could weak it. But generally, double hitter block revive A1s are solid. Anytime, I mean, block revive A1 is really strong in itself, and then double hitter I like on top of it. Then also filling his turn meter if it's critical, 20% turn meter fill. I think it's a very, very solid A1. Let's take a look at the A2. So this is a 4-turn, books down to a 3-turn with some damage in it. Attacks all enemies will ignore shield and block damage buff if attacking under a berserk debuff placed by this champion. If this champion is not under berserk debuff placed by themselves, the damage inflicted against enemies under shield buff is increased by 50%. Each critical hit fills the champion's turn meter by 10%. Solid. We'll have to take a look at how he's getting the berserk debuff. I don't really like conditional stuff, so we'll have to take a look at that. But if he has the berserk, ignoring shield and block damage is very strong. Block damage is very meta right now with Neve, the Void champion. That was just a progressive recently. A lot of people got her. With Siegfried. There's some other block damage champions, but I think those are like the two big ones I can think of right now. Very, very strong, especially if you don't have, if you're in live arena and they draft a block damage champion last pick and you have nothing to go against it, then you're kind of screwed. So having a way to hit through block damage, very, very strong. Yeah, we'll have to see how he gets berserk. The critical hit filling is also good. It's an AoE, so depending where you're using him, if you're in arena, that would be, I mean, depending on how many crits you hit, but if you crit every single champion, that's 40% turn meter, which is a lot. You're getting a big boost to go to take your next turn, which is pretty nice. I like that. So if he's not under berserk, he does more into shield. Shield, I feel like, isn't super meta right now. It's not a bad thing. There are definitely bolster sets out there. There are champions that put up shields, but I think the block damage is a bigger thing right now, so I wish there was part of like some type of block damage part if in the second part as well if he doesn't have berserk. We'll see about that. Again, also I'm not sure about the multipliers on any of these champions, so that also will vary depending on how hard they hit. My final opinion on them. So then we got the A3, attacks on enemy 3 times. Each hit will ignore 20% of the target's defense. That's nice, we like that. Places a perfect veil buff and unkillable buff in this champion for 2 turns if the target is killed. If the target survives, places the berserk debuff on this champion for 2 turns instead. This debuff cannot be resisted or blocked. And this is a 4-turn, books down to a 3-turn with damage in the books. Ooh, not sure how I feel about this one. Because ideally, this is going to be a really hard-hitting move, in theory, right? It's a single target, triple hitter. Each hit ignores 20% of defense. Plus, you're going to be, I'm assuming, running him in Helm Smasher with probably probably with like Lethal or Savage. So he's going to be ignoring a lot of the defense. So most likely, this is going to kill, so he's not going to get the Berserk, which means that he's not going to ignore the block damage or shield, at least from this. We'll have to look at the passive. Kind of weird though. And then if this doesn't hit that hard, then I'm concerned about why does this not hit that hard. Like I said, it's a single target triple hitter, ignores defense. Like this should be smacking. So not sure if I really like this that much. Perfect Veil and Killable is nice, but you really seems like you really want the Berserk on him. I get the Unkillable. I get having the Unkillable on him with the Berserk, because Berserk you get more damage. You do more damage, but you also receive more damage. So if he has the Unkillable, then he obviously won't die. He'll have the Berserk. He'll do a lot of damage. But yeah, see, I don't like how it's like an either or. Kind of weird. Take a look at the passive. Whenever Leo, Donnie, Mikey, or Raph attacks, this champion will join in the attack. Places a Berserk debuff on this champion for 1 turn whenever a champion dies. So it could be your champion or the enemy's champion. Has a 20% chance of granting extra turn when attacking under Berserk debuff by this champion. I don't know, chat. I'm not sure how much I like the synergy. I like this part. Whenever Leo, Donnie, Mikey, or attacks, the champion will join in. He's got a really good A1. The block revive fills this champion's turn meter. Place a Berserk debuff on the champion whenever enemy dies. I mean, if you can guarantee a kill early on, like, yeah, it's amazing. You can try to get it from his passive, but I just don't see that happening until later in the fight. Like I said earlier, nowadays most champions are in Stone Skin. Yeah, I wish there was a more consistent way for him to get the Berserk. I don't really like how that is. I'm not sure how they could do it to give him the Berserk more consistently, but this just doesn't really make sense to me. Like, I would expect this to hit really hard. I would expect it to kill someone, and then, like, let's say you want the Berserk, like, you're not just going to use this, like, into someone's Stone Skin purposely to do no damage. Like, I don't know, I feel like that's, like, a waste just to get the Berserk. Seems kind of weird. Again, I'm not sure how hard he hits, how his multipliers are. If he hits really, really hard, then that will obviously be a plus for him. But yeah, I just don't like how he doesn't seem to get the Berserk that easily, or that consistently, I should say. I really like his or not swords. What are those? I don't even know what those are called. It's not like an idiot saying swords. I know they're not swords, but whatever his weapon of choice is, I really like the glowiness and stuff. Sorry, distracted. I just noticed those. But yeah, back to the kit. Yeah, we'll have to see. I wish, like I said, I wish there was just a better way of him getting Berserk. Let me know in chat if you guys agree or disagree about his kit. If you think the Berserk is consistent enough, or if you wish there was a better way of getting it. Because to me, it seems like it's a little RNG, and I don't really like. All right, on to the next one. The one that's actually in the Lizardman. The only lizard in the lizard, or the only turtle in the Lizardman. We got Donatello. Again, I'm really enjoying all of the designs of these characters. They look amazing. Take a quick peek of the animations real quick. Yeah, they look so good. Alright, so Donatello, he is a support champion. Magic. Let's see what he is. Wait, did I look at I also didn't look at the aura. Oh, I'm so bad. Sorry. I'm so bad. Raph's aura is increased ally attack in battles by 30%. Nothing crazy, solid aura. But definitely wanted to show that. Sorry, there's a lot of going back here. Sorry, back and forth. Alright, now on to Donnie. Let's see what he's got. A1, attacks one enemy, heals all allies by 5% of this champion's max HP. Cool, I like it how it's this champion's max HP, because sometimes it's their max HP, and if it's an attack nuker, they're not going to be healing that much, but I'm assuming you're going to be building him with a lot of HP, so they're going to be getting a decent heal, only 5%, but it's an A1. And then instantly activates one random continuous heal buff on all allies. Pretty solid. You're also getting a boost to the heal with bookies. Yeah, I think it's solid A1, not too bad. Heals, activating continuous heals, has more heals. We like that. We got the A2 Shell Shocker. Let's see. Attacks all enemies, decreases the cooldown of all ally skills except this champion by 2 turns. And then this skill cooldown cannot be decreased by other cooldown decreasing effects. Places an increased speed buff on all allies for 2 turns. This is a 6 turn, books down to a 4 turn. Kinda. 4 turn. 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 4 kind of stinky. Wish it was a 3-turn, especially because you can't reset this. So let's take a look at the move first. So increased speed, all allies, very solid. We like increased speed. The cooldown, the decreased cooldown of allies is awesome. We do like the cooldown decrease. The only stinky thing is that this move can not only not be reset by other champions, so like Kaimar, Yumiko, Lamasu won't be able to reset this, but this also cannot be reset by masteries or gears. So Reflex, Merciless, any masteries that I think have a chance of resetting don't work on this. So that kind of stinks. This is going to be a permanent 4-turn cooldown no matter what you do. So not really a big fan of that. Wish it was a 3-turn if they're going to do this, or if they're going to do it a 4-turn, at least let us use more. I understand not letting it be reset by other champions, skills, but at least let us reset it with Merciless or Reflex. Relentless will work on this because you're not like resetting the skill, you're just getting extra turn, which then lowers the cooldown. But yeah, kind of stinky about this back part, but besides that, I think this move is really good. Cooldown decrease and then also increased speed, very nice. But yeah, only stinky part, 4-turn, and this second part of it kind of. And then we will take a look at the A3. So this is a Secret of the Ooh. So this is a 6-turn, books down to a 3-turn, places a 15% continuous heal buff and a 25% chance, and a 25 strengthen on allies for 2 turns. Also fills the turn rate of allies by 20%. Good move. This pairs well with the A1. The A1 will activate the continuous heals. Here he puts out the continuous heals. He cleanses, puts a strength in, fills turn meter. So this does a lot. This actually does a lot right here. Keeps you alive a little bit, helps you stay alive. So solid move. I like it. 3-turn with the turn meter increase. Very nice. Take a look at the passive. Whenever Leo, Donnie, Mikey, or Raphael attacks, this champion joins in. So that's the passive effect. So we got a 6-turn, books down to a 4-turn. Active effect. Sorry, my nose is a little itchy. Whenever an ally is about to receive a fatal hit, this champion prevents the ally's death and keeps him alive with 1 HP. Then equalizes allies' HP. The HP level of all allies will be brought up to the average HP of the team. If there are multiple champions on this team, will only activate once. Cool passive. So the A1 works really well with, the passive works again really well with the A1, getting more healing out, popping more or activating more continuous heals. So I like the synergy between the passive and the A1. It seems like a lot of them have good A1 and passive synergies. And then the active effect seems really solid as well. So this is kind of like a Freya-ish, where you're saving someone from dying. Hers is like, has to be the person with the highest crit damage. So this is way more universal, which is nice. Doesn't have to be your nuker. Also kind of similar to, I think, Brassclad has something kind of similar to this. But the things that they don't have that this does have has the HP equalization, which is really cool. So it's going to average out the total HP of your team and bring the HP up to that. So you're not just living on 1 HP and then you're just dying over in a small breeze to the enemies like support A1 because you're at 1 HP. You'll be at least a little bit you'll be a little bit tanky depending on how much other HP you have on the team. You'll be brought up a little bit. So I like that. You're not just getting left at 1 HP and then dying instantly. You'll have at least a chance, depending on who it is, to survive another hit. And then we got the aura. We got HP in all battles 30%. So he seems really cool. I like his kit a lot. Seems like a great support champion. I'm not sure about damage, how well he's going to hit, but he's more of a support champion to me. But sometimes support champions in this game have sneaky multipliers. Shout out Eostrid, if you guys are not familiar with her. Final Campachi, shout out Final Campachi. He's an awesome dude, streams, YouTubes. But really early on that he figured out that Eostrid can do really good damage, and he showcased her doing crazy damage. So just because they're support doesn't mean they can't do damage. But yeah, I would assume this guy's going to be more on the supporty side. But who knows? Maybe we'll have to test it out and check HH's website to see what the multipliers are. So overall, I like Donnie. He looks really cool. Let's go on to the next one. That would be the final 2. Yeah, final 2 are in not Sylvan Watchers. They're in the Shadowkin. And we got Leo first up. Leonardo. He's with the swords. We got the swords. He's a defense champion. Defense. He is void. Let's take a look. A1 New York Slice. I like it. Attacks one enemy 2 times. When counterattacking, will repeat this attack against a random enemy. Will ignore 3% of the target's defense for each buff on this champion. Stacks up to 15%. Then you're getting 20% more damage in books. That seems pretty solid. A double hitter. And then if he's counterattacking, we'll repeat this attack against a random enemy. And then he's also stacking up the ignore defense, depending on how many buffs he has. And I think if I've looked at his kit a little bit already, he wants a lot of buffs on the team. So you're going to presumably have a lot of buffs with him. So this should be ignoring a decent amount of defense on top of what other ignore defense stuff you have with him. The masteries, the gear. Really solid. The A1s of these champions are honestly pretty good, I would say. So we got the A2. Hell yeah. That's funny. Places a increased defense, 6% increased defense on all allies. Excuse me. For 2 turns, and has a 50% and a 50% ally protection buff on allies except this champion for 2 turns. Also places unkillable buff and counterattack buff on this champion for 2 turns. This is a 5-turn books down to a 3-turn. Interesting. So self-buffing, nice, but you're gonna most likely have to bring another increased defense champion with him, because I'm assuming you're gonna want to A3 right away. You might be able to set him up with the A2, then go into A3, but probably want someone else to have the increased defense for him. The other thing that kind of scares me, I'm not sure if some of you guys might know this, some of you guys might not know this, but ally protection, the way that it's like calculated and the way that the damage you receive is based off of how much crit damage you have on the champion that has the eye protection, which is kind of weird, or that places the eye protection. So he's a defense nuker, so he's going to have a lot of crit damage. He has the eye protection. I guess the only good thing is that he is unkillable, so he should live with that. It's just a little scary. I guess if they strip the unkillable or something, like I guess you should always have the unkillable with the ally protection, so it shouldn't be too bad, but it just scares me. Having a damage dealer with ally protection generally is a no-go, but the way this kit is set up, it seems like it actually will work because of the because of the unkillable. So I'm glad they added the unkillable. If they didn't have the unkillable, then this would be really bad. But they added the unkillable. They also added the counterattack, which synergizes great with the A1, getting the ignore defense, counterattacking repeats the skill. So I do like the synergy between the A1 and the A2. The ally protection kind of scares me. That's it. Then we'll take a look at the A3. So he is kind of like a Unity champion. I wish they would have given him maybe a little like circle like the other Unity champions. But yeah, he is like the leader of the team. So he's got a bonus team up for them. So we'll take a look at that. So we got Turtles Together, the A3. So this is a 4-turn. Books to a 3-turn with 30% damage increase from the bookies. That is a lot. That is a lot. So 3-turn, attacks all enemies. This damage inflicted by this skill increases by 5% for each buff on all allies and enemies. Very interesting, very cool, very potentially good. Then also removes all buffs from all enemies. If this attack kills an enemy, this effect cannot be resisted. So you don't have to build accuracy, which is nice. So yeah, looking just at this, we'll take a look at the bonuses after. Very good. I've seen some playtesting with him. It seems like he's very much like Taras in the fact that he really needs buffs to do damage. If you don't have a lot of buffs or buffs on the enemy team, I guess as well, buffs total, the damage was really lacking. So just be mindful of that. You're going to really want to make sure that you have a buff heavy team, or you're running it into, I guess, a buff heavy team that the enemy has, or both. You have a lot of buffs and they have a lot of buffs, because when he didn't have buffs, the damage was way down. So just be wary of that. But if you do have the buffs, this was smacking. I also like this part a lot. Cannot be resisted, so you don't have to build accuracy. He's void, so you won't weak hit. Yeah, removing all the buffs. Really nice move. But you make sure you have to have the buffs. So then we have the TMNT Unity. We got the team up going. So what's happening here? So the first part, if you got one turtle ally, we'll ignore 15% of the targets. We'll ignore 15% of each target's defense per each Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo, Raphael in the team does not count this champion. So this is strong. If you have, so it's interesting that it says Leonardo in Leonardo's kit. So, and it doesn't say if you have multiple, it doesn't work. Like it says here on if there are multiple champions on this team, only one will activate. So you could have multiple Leonardos on the same team, and get this. That's pretty nasty. I'm not sure if that's viable. Like, I don't know if you would, even if you would actually run 2 Leonardos on the same team, like if that would be worth it or not. But it's just cool that that is an option. So this is cool. Just with one other turtle, you're ignoring 50% of each target's defense. That's very strong. He's getting a lot of ignored defense in his kit from the A1 as well, which is cool. 2 turtle allies increases the damage dealt by this champion, or sorry, increase the damage dealt by this skill in proportion to this champion's missing HP. So this has great synergy with the A2 and the Unkillable. I'm really glad they put the Unkillable. If they didn't have the Unkillable, this whole thing would have been all screwed up. So I'm glad they actually did well with this. So kind of like a Leorius passive, the less HP you have, the more damage you do. Again, Leorius has the Unkillable built in as well, so that's pretty nice. If you have low HPs, you need to hit even harder. And then you have 3 turtles. Activates this skill whenever allies' HP drops below 50%. Occurs once per skill. There are multiple champions on this team. Only activates once. So this is pretty cool. Whenever someone drops below 50%, instantly activates the skill. That's very strong. So yeah, these are all great benefits, great bonuses to Leo. Really liking the A3. Just make sure you got the buffs. We got the passive. Place a stone skin buff on this champion for 1 turn each time this champion's HP drops below 50%. Occurs once per skill. Whenever Leo, Donnie, Mikey, or Raph attacks, this champion will join in on the attack. So again, more joining in on the A1s. He's got a really good A1. I like the passive a lot. It's kind of similar to Arnon's passive, where whenever Arnon's about to die, he places stone skin on himself, and then he instantly activates, I think he's like A2 maybe, or A3, I'm not sure exactly what skill, but he activates one of his skills that hits really, really hard. So this isn't quite as good as that. He's not like he's not instantly activating his A3, even though he kind of is. Depending on how it works, if he's the one that drops below 50%, then he actually could activate this. So there is some kind of activating the A3, but if it's, let's say that's not, he doesn't activate it, you're still getting the A1 activation, which is really good. But this again pairs up really well with the A3. I'm liking a lot of the synergy in these kits. I think they overall thought about it pretty well. There was one of them that I thought the synergy was kind of weird. I think that was the first one we looked at. But besides of that, I think they have pretty good synergy in between the moves and the skills, which I like. And then his aura is increased ally defense and all battles by 33%. I think he's probably the big winner chicken dinner of the event. If you could only get one, I'd probably try to get him. Obviously, you're going to get one with the daily login for free. If you can do the fusion, do the fusion. But I think this is going to be the big chase, the big hunt of the collaboration. Sadly, there's no Master Splinter. I know a lot of people are looking forward to and wondering if there's going to be Master Splinter. As of we know right now, there's not. Maybe there will be in the future, but I know he was a big one that people were looking forward to. Now we got, the last but not least, we got Shredder. So Shredder's HP Void Champion. And let's take a look. He's also the event boss, which is kind of cool. So his A1 attacks one enemy 3 times. The second and third hit of this skill will ignore 5 and 10% of the target's defense respectively. The second and third hits of this skill will deal 10 and 20% more crit damage respectively. And then you're getting a damage boost 20%. So I've seen a little bit of playtesting on Shredder. I think his multipliers are kind of lackluster from what I was seeing, so maybe they're going to have to tweak him a little bit, because I think his kit on paper looks good from what I've briefly seen. It's just that I don't think he hits that hard, which kind of stinks, because it's Shredder. Like, you would expect him to be shredding stuff. I mean, come on, he's the big bad. So yeah, kind of think he doesn't hit that hard from what I've seen. Maybe there just has to be more testing. But I mean, the skill itself, the one looks good, ignoring 5 to 10% of defense, getting more crit damage. I'm pretty sure it doesn't hit that hard, but from the skill perspective, it looks like a good skill. Then we got the A2, so this is a 4-turn, books down to a 3-turn. Attacks on enemy 2 times. Each critical hit destroys the enemy's defense by 5. Stacks up to 30%. Each critical hit also increases champion's max HP by 5. Stacks up to 30%. Each hit has a 75, books up to a 100% chance of placing a leech debuff for 2 turns. This debuff cannot be resisted if champion is under veil or a perfect veil buff, and this is he's based off HP. So again, if you're just looking at the skill itself, attacks on enemy 2 times, that's good. Each critical hit destroys the defense, like that's really good. He's getting a boost in his HP, so if it's a longer fight, if you're doing Hydra, Chimera, clan boss, whatever the area, the content you're doing. If it's a longer fight, this is going to stack up. A lot of really good champions have this. Ninja has this. I think Thowlin has it. Harima has it. A ton of champions have this, but it's very strong, especially over the longer fights. And also being able to destroy your target's defense is also really strong over the longer fights as well. So in theory, this should be a good move. The leech is nice. Help stay alive longer. Chimera, you need it for some trials. But it's kind of, I don't know, kind of weird that it's like, I guess, why is he's bringing leech though? I'm not sure if that has anything to do with lore or anything. It's just kind of random that he's doing leech. I'm not sure how he's going to get Veil or Perfect Veil, but if you have Veil or Perfect Veil, he doesn't need accuracy. If you don't have it, he needs accuracy. Gotta be careful about the sheepies in arena as well. Got the A3, so this is a 6-turn bucks down to a 4-turn. Attacks all enemies before attacking, steals all buffs from a single target enemy. This effect cannot be resisted if this champion is under Veil or Perfect Veil. Fill this champion's turn meter by 15% for each buff stolen. Will ignore 15% of each target's defense as well as shield, block damage. If this champion is under Veil or Perfect Veil, will ignore 30% of each enemy's defense. So lots of stuff if he has Veil or Perfect Veil. Don't see in his kit. I mean, we haven't looked at the passive yet, but I don't see where he's getting the Veil or Perfect Veil. So if you have it in the team, if you bring a Duchess or someone else that has Veil or Perfect Veil, these are really strong. Because you're not going to want to build him with accuracy. You're going to want to build him pure damage, ideally to have him hit as hard as possible. I like him before attacking, stealing all the buffs from a single target is really strong. Because he's also going to put it on himself. He's not just removing, he's stealing it, so he'll take it. He's also filling turn meter depending on how many he steals, so that's nice. Ignoring more defense, ignoring block damage is really strong. Like I said earlier, just worried about the Veil and the Perfect Veil and how we're getting those. I guess we'll take a look at the passive. So the passive effect decreases all incoming damage by 30%. This damage is split equally among all allies except this champion. Increases champion's damage dealt by 15% for each dead ally. Interesting. So you kind of want your team to be dead. Not sure if I really like that idea of him just like soloing everything, like just your whole team dying of him just soloing. I'm not sure if he has enough to do that. Maybe that's where the leech is supposed to be there to help solo if everyone else is dead. But that's a big damage boost if people are dead. It's going to help them stay alive, but it's going to help your other allies die faster, which is interesting. Then we got the active effect. Whenever this champion loses 20% of their max HP in one attack, has a 100% chance to evade the next attack. When this guaranteed evade effect activates, places a perfect veil buff on this champion for 2 turns and has a 50% chance of placing a true fear debuff on allies for 1 turn. This true fear debuff cannot be resisted. I feel like this dude and the first one we looked at, I think it was Mikey. Who was it? Mikey. Yeah, this is with the Berserk. No, this is with the Evade. Who was it? The Lizardman, I think. Or was it the Barbarian? Ralph. Yeah, I feel like he's kind of similar to Ralph, where it doesn't seem like it's a very consistent way of getting the Veil or Perfect Veil. It seems like you're going to have to bring it additionally in the team with you, which isn't necessarily an issue, but kind of stinks if you're doing live arena and they like ban the Veil and Perfect Veil just to solely rely on this. Because he's an HP based champion, so he's gonna be tanky. So unless you're getting hit by their damage dealer, you're not gonna lose the 20%. If he's in Stone Skin, it's gonna have to take another turn. So it's gonna be 1 turn, 2 turns. So on your second turn, you'll lose the 20%, and then on the third turn, you'll get like the Perfect Veil and Veil. Yeah, I don't know. It feels like he's kind of like a big setup. If his multipliers were good, maybe he could work out. Again, from what I saw, they weren't too exciting. Maybe we just need more testing. Maybe I just looked at the wrong videos. But yeah, kind of weird to get this to set up, I feel like. Because he's probably going to be in Stone Skin. So like I said, so first turn, or they hit you with the Stone Skin, you don't lose 20%, so you don't get the Veil. You take your turn, so no Veil, so nothing is getting resisted. And then they take their turn, they hit you, let's say you lose 40%, but he has 100% to evade the next attack. So yeah, so you lose the 20%, or you lose the 40%, and then you hit. And then the next turn, next time they hit you, so the third time they hit you, you're guaranteed to evade, and the guaranteed evade places the perfect veil and veil. I mean, that's 3 turns into the fight. Most fights are like I feel like are over by then, depending on if you're a go first or go second team. I mean, I guess he's a go second champion, but a 3-turn, I mean, I could be reading this wrong, but I feel like it's a 3-turn setup to get this to work, unless you don't run him in Stone Skin, but then you have a chance of just dying right away, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure about the 2 that doesn't seem very consistent of getting like what they need. It seems like it's hard to get the Berserk, and it seems like it's hard to get the Perfect Veil and Veil for if like based off of just him. The good thing about Veil and Perfect Veil is you can have other champions bring it in. Berserk, I don't think there's anyone else that really has Berserk, or you can't like at least give it to someone. There might be other champions that have Berserk in the kit, but it's not like someone has a, oh yeah, give this champion Berserk in their kit. So he solely needs to do it himself to get the Berserk. This you can at least bring in a Duchess or someone else that has the Perfect Veil. But it says just Perfect Veil, so it's kind of scary. It's not just Veil and Perfect Veil. It has to be Perfect Veil, which is kind of limited. I wish it was Veil and Perfect Veil. And then his HP in all battles by 33%. Yeah, very conflicted. I think some of them are really good and their synergy works really well together. And I think some of them are kind of maybe a little iffy. The synergy doesn't work that well together. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. If you guys agree, if you guys disagree, if you guys are excited for this collaboration. Don't forget to hit that like, hit that sub button. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.